Zero. Sorry about that, man. I've had people come on and they didn't even know they were on, so I'm always real wary of that. Okay, let me pull this up and get it set up, and we'll roll the show out. For those of you who are already here, we'll roll out in about a minute. It's going to be a powerful show because I can feel it. Nobody told me that. I can just feel it. I felt it yesterday. Felt a lot of dragon energy, man. Big time.
Sucker.
I knew that wouldn't surprise you. Man, that when I uploaded or downloaded your picture, it's when you see it on the screen, it's small. The profile picture is small.
Mm-hmm.
So I did that because I couldn't get to my computer, so I did that kind of pre-announcement post, and I did it off my phone. But then I came upstairs to do the get reminder announcement, and I pulled your picture off of and so it was on my computer screen. And so when it came up, it was all dragon. I was like, whoa. I don't know. Okay, so let me check it on the phone, and then we'll roll it out. Let's see. Hey, Kathleen McAuliffe from Ireland. How you doing? Thank you for your continued love and support. Let's see. Lorraine Johnstone, how are you doing? Scotland and Ireland. All right, let's see.
Homeland.
Yeah, I was gonna say, man, the Celtics coming in here. Kirsty Belleville's in the house. Got 30 people already. Let me just answer my beloved here. Oh, that was old. All right. There we go. Okay, we're on. Howdy, Mary Lou. Louisiana's in the house. Sonoma, California's in the house. And I was like, whoa. Okay, it's working. I don't know. Okay, so let me. The Celtics coming in here. Kirsty Belleville's in the house. My phone's acting up. When I start these shows now, almost every time there's crazy electronic problems. I wouldn't say problems. I would just say high frequencies. Glitches, right? I mean, my phone's just going nuts here. I don't even know what's happening.
I'm shocked mine's not having issues right now.
Better on the phone than the screen, but they're not problems. It's just high frequency. They're more like symptoms or characteristics.
Yep.
But maybe it's all the energy. This is crazy from the audience and the two people, all coming together at one point. And it what ends up happening, typically it stops after a few minutes, and it goes off okay, like this one will. Okay, we're good. All right, so we got about 50 people in the house. We're gonna roll the show out. A couple of quick hellos: Eon Boldy, Christy Snellgrove, Jenny Friend, Eberhardt, Vel Danielle Gambrel, Sheila Whitney, Michael Van Patten, my brother's in the house, and Lisi Freudland's in the house from Stavanger, Norway. All right, so there's a couple of new names, so I'll go ahead and introduce myself. My name's Todd Medina, and this is the Soulology Network, and this is our primary broadcasting vehicle, which is called Soul Speaks 5D. It's a conversation with, and today it's with Matt, Bodhi, Bryan, our beloved brother who's been out there at the forefront of this thing for a long time, because I've been actively online for 5 years and I've seen him around for quite a while. And I sent him a friend request, I think about a year ago.
Yep.
So welcome to the show, my brother. Thank you for sharing space with us today and honoring us with your presence. How you doing today?
I'm very good.
Yeah.
As good as I can be. I go through the roller coaster, dark tunnels, light tunnels. Same shit.
Yeah. You've been you're very upfront about everything that you've been going through. A lot like my sister over here, Zavetta Da Vinci, when her son transitioned, and we've all had contact with him. Many of us. I have had contact with them actually in this room. I've had some contact with them the last 2-3 days, and the thing that I got out of it, because I've had some pretty intense emotions over the last week or so. I think a lot of people have, regardless of what may or may not have happened in their lives. But what I got from Christian over the last 2-3 days, as I was in the house by myself working with his energy around, was a lot of laughter
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of just, dude, everybody needs to Wang Chung, man. you know, but at the same time, we're human beings, and that's the beauty of it all. This is, in my opinion, the most important aspect of all our multidimensionality is our human soul hybrid essence. And so, it's maybe easier on the other side over there when you can see both sides of the yin and yang.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. So I don't know. I don't know why I shared that with you. It just came to mind.
I got
But
it.
you seem like you've been. Have you always been woke?
I'll just say this much. 1992 was when I woke up. Kind of a rude awakening for me. Not seeing anybody that I could talk to or address or even share anything with. I had to go in hiding for many years and tried to play the game, and got married, had 2 kids.
Yeah.
Got a house, got a car,
Oh yeah.
all that shit. So
hamster in the wheel. Hamster in the wheel.
And everything always just failed. Corporate jobs, tried this, tried that. Nothing worked because I'm not supposed to fit in. And I feel that whole that there's that meme that goes around. If you don't fit into the way that things are now, it's like means you're supposed to be there to change it.
Yeah.
So, and I'm like, yeah, well, hell, shit. So about 5-6 years ago, I started finally being able to contact and connect with people, on the level that I had been experiencing since 1992.
Wow.
So it was the best way to say it is like, I actually went to sleep while I was waiting, because I'm like, oh crap. I felt like Rip Van Winkle sometimes, because when I finally started coming out, everybody's like, I'm, Reiki 3, this, that. It's like, I'm like, shit, all I am is a massage therapist.
Yeah. Yeah. That's similar. That sounds similar to what happened with me in the 90s. Well, I can't say I was, like maybe I always knew, but I did go to sleep and into that corporate thing. And then it's interesting what you said about that meme, because I tried to change everything in these environments, and it was like you said, it always failed, right? That's and then what, was it around 2012, like a lot of people, when it started to click?
Honestly, that's when everything started clicking. At the time I was working as a personal trainer, and I started realizing that it's not the physical or the emotional that's the problem. It's the combination of the spiritual, emotional, and physical that needs to be addressed, instead of just dealing with the physical. And at the time I was at a big box gym, and everybody's like, no, that ain't going to make any money. And I'm like, oh. It's like, and I was like, okay, then I guess I don't work here anymore.
Right.
And I've been, really honing my craft, so to speak, helping friends out for, God, since 2008, turn their lives around. And honestly, it's like, I don't ask for money.
Yeah.
For most, just because it's like, I would do it for free if I didn't have bills. It's like, now it's like, okay, well, I'm going to do it for whatever I need, like in an even exchange, because, that's the way that things work now.
You mean like energy work?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And that's something that I think is coming to the surface now, is all the things that we did are being reciprocated now. And this whole 5D commerce thing that I've been receiving and other people have, where it's based on the honor system and paying things forward.
Mm-hmm.
I see it starting to develop in Soulogy, and I'm, you know, just trying to put that out there with others that we collaborate with. But how's that been for you? I mean, do you do a lot of that now? Do you still do that?
I just, well, actually, I connected with some people locally that are looking to create a business or, move a business in another direction or moving it forward. And I'm going to do that for a while, mainly because, this is something that I need to start focusing on, is helping people out. I've been talking about getting groups together, men's groups, women's groups, men and women's groups together, to address the imbalances.
Yeah.
And have open conversation flow, especially with men's groups. There aren't a lot. There's a lot of women's group, red tents, sisterhood groups all over the place. You can't find, honestly, you might get 2 or 3 a year. They just have retreats. That's about it. I mean, there's a lot of brothers coming forward to talk about different things, but it really, until you get them all in the room, there's not a lot of sharing, because they need to feel safe. The only way that they're going to feel safe is when there's somebody there to facilitate that safety.
Yeah, I think you're right about that, and I absolutely would love to collaborate with you or assist you any way I could, and I'd like to be a part of it. You're in the Eastern time zone, and it's easy to get to. There's a lot of people out here.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to have a goddess gathering, the second one on October the 20th, in DC, and you see a lot of that, and so for men, I think, I love talking to you about this, but for men, I think it's like, I don't know, man. It's like, especially over this past year and over the last 2 or 3 months, it's like, we're getting stripped down to nothing. We're coming back, embodying that slowly but surely. But I think a big part of it, and maybe the confusing part, and maybe what you're saying is correct, having the facilitator will make it easier, is that they don't even know what their feelings are. We don't know, and we're learning.
Exactly.
And you feel kind of stupid, and it's not always easy talking to a feminine about it, divine feminine. It's the way I see it is you got 4 components. You got the divine genders, and then you got the human genders.
Mm-hmm.
So you're dealing with all 4 of those components, and and you're transitioning from one to the other. But I don't know. I mean, as you've been observing this, and you've been woke for so long, what are you seeing with these men out there, like over the past few months?
In the last 2 years, in the last year, since the beginning of this year, I know of 6 men ages of 40 to 60 that have committed suicide because they could not, best way to say it, they could not attach to their emotions. And I know more, there's more. This is just around me locally, like within 1 to 2 degrees. One actually quite close. And, it really hurts all of us if we can't reach out and embrace that. Mainly because it's like everyone gone is another one gone. We all stand together. It's like a piece of the puzzle just kind of disappearing, and like, okay, we can't finish the damn puzzle now.
Yeah.
So, we have to create a piece or change the puzzle around. And I know that a lot of people that say, oh, they're doing work from the other side. Awesome. But we really, it does, in, my recent experiences, it does create a massive stoppage in growth, personal growth, and healing when you have something like that happen in your life. Like because that person who commits suicide, there's impact, and
Yeah.
it really it does create. It's like, holy crap! I might have been moving forward at like breakneck speed, but now I got to stop and
Yeah.
deal with this. Until I deal with this, I can't do anything else.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
So on one hand, you can say, what the standard line is, and I'm not taking any shots at that or being disrespectful when I say it, is that respect everybody's journey. But what I'm hearing you say that I haven't heard, and I agree with you, is we're on a mission,
mm-hmm,
and if somebody drops off, it's all good, unconditional love. But we do have a piece missing, and now we got to reconfigure it,
mm-hmm,
like you said. So
yeah,
it's something.
because I mean, yeah, each one of us is like somebody said it perfectly. If you've ever seen a net, at each junction there's a knot, and we need to cover the globe with this net, and each junction is a knot. When we lose a knot, we need to move something around
Yeah.
to make sure that hole's fixed.
Yeah.
And it does suck to actually sit there and think that way, because these are people, these are souls, these are people that really matter to us.
Yeah.
But I hate this. It's like, and honestly, the way everything that's happened, since my son was murdered, it's been a heartache. One of the first things that he showed me was basically everything that happened to him, and he became part of my team. So he may have been a light, he may have been one of those knots, but he just reinforced a very important knot in me. So, I mean, yeah, we can all shift around and fix it and other things. It's like we need to figure out how to use that energy, that loss, as a way to move forward. One of the things is like the only way that I felt I could move forward, and this is what his message to me was, okay, this is all love and this is all great. Like you're listening, sitting here looking and listening and hearing and smelling and everything that happened, but you need to squeeze that down until there's only 3 to 5 seconds of what happened. And it showed me, as a couple of my posts stated, that the only thing that mattered about the whole situation is my son and his beloved left in love with hands held, and they were okay. Skipping out. Is that you or me? I don't know if I'm on, but it all came down to just experiencing love and embodying the love that they shared.
Yeah. You sent me a note. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You sent me a note and you said something to me that was incredible. You said, because I didn't even know what had happened.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I approached you and I said, would you want to do a show with me? And you said, I will in a week or so. And then you came back and said, I never thought I would go through such a dark, abyss. And I never thought I would find the level of love that I found from a place like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it just like rocked me, man. I was like, whoa, I know that feeling. I've been there, I mean, we don't know what we've been through. That's our individual experience, but it resonated deeply with me. So I knew something very, very, unexpected and all that had happened.
Yep. Lost you again. You're stiff. Not moving. And you're gone. I guess we're still live, though. To expand on that, yeah, I the only thing that I could do to get out was to essentially hold on to that life preserver and wait until it pulled me up. there's, I mean, there's a lot of other things that could have possibly happened. And, I've actually, from all of this, the interesting thing is I've actually helped my ex-wife and my daughter heal, um, and his friends even. Like I've been at 2 vigils and been in contact with a lot of his friends, her friends. And the thing about my son is that he was always wanting to make people happy. Didn't matter what he was going through. He always wanted to make people happy. So I said, okay, we're done. We're going to share stories. And once the stories are over, we're going to start talking and laughing, like laughing openly and changing the energy of it, because, he wouldn't want people to be and sad because he's gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and that's exactly, 2.5 weeks later. It's difficult still, but like, all of us, I can laugh. It's like, and it's very interesting because you were talking about how Sveta's son has been coming to people. My son has reached out to countless people, the people that I have never even told him about.
Yeah. Wow.
Like last night, and he comes to me almost every night. Last night he went to my mom for the first time, and my mom's never experienced any of this stuff before. She heard him call out her name. So she jumped up when she was sleeping, freaked out, and it came running to me going, "What the hell? Did you just call me?" And she's like, yeah, I was out. And she's like, "Uh-oh." So she went back down to sleep, and 10 minutes later, boom, 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 he was banging the door.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh. It's like, and basically when I woke up, she was out here and she's basically started crying and telling me the story. It's like, well, welcome to my world.
Yeah. Mom's woke now.
Yeah.
He woke mom. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, that's a powerful sign. I mean, that gives some, that gives some, I don't know, comfort, knowing Zveta's son has done the same, and the message seems to be the same. The veil is thinning, or however you want to put it. But yeah, that's powerful. So he comes to you almost every night.
Yep. Like the really funny thing is he came to me Wednesday night last. This is 2 days after I found out, which is 3 days after it happened. And he basically introduced Danielle, his beloved, to me. I'd never met her, and it's funny because he came to me, and it's like he's always been jealous of my beard, and he had this raging beard because you can do whatever the hell you want on either side.
He had a beard.
And I shared that with a bunch of his friends, and they just they almost wet themselves because it was just so freaking hilarious that he's finally got his beard.
Wow. So he introduced you to her.
Yeah, and we basically, it was funny. We were just chatting for hours, it seemed, and I woke up and it was 2 hours later. I'm like, oh, I love how that happens.
Wow, that's fascinating. And if I can ask you, what would you say was it that what you described in that message to me, that darkness you never thought you see, and then the the effect of it, as you said, you never thought you'd find such a high, I think you said such a high love, or a high level of love, or something like that.
Yep.
Was there something you can put your finger on? Is it just feeling and knowing?
It's funny. Like a lot of us do. Some men have darker darknesses, and some women have darkness that just scares the shit out of me. Mm-hmm. I went primal. I was down in the basement of my darkness. I couldn't see my hand in front of my face. My light did not shine there. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden, it just like a little spark. It just started sparking, and I'm just like, okay, what's that? It was so dark down there. It's like I had to actually be right up on it for me to even see it. and even be open to it. And I reached out, grabbed it, and held it in my hand. And as soon as I started holding it, it was quite weighty, and and it helped showed me the way out. Rising me up and telling me, okay, this is not, yes, this sucks, but you need to move forward through this, because there's a lot of people who are relying on you to actually stop being down here. Yes, you have to be down here, you have to find it, but you have to also go right back up and do what you need to do. And that's where all the messages came from, because the funny thing is, majority of the things that I wrote were at 2 or 3 in the morning after I'd been asleep for 2 hours. My sleep sucks right now.
Yeah.
I'm like down for 2 hours, up for 4, down for another 2 or 3, and then up. And it's like, are you getting enough sleep? No.
Yeah. I know, I can relate. I got people telling me, hey, you need to get some rest. Like writing me notes, messages, and making comments. Like, I mean, I'd love to, man. I got up at 5 this morning and I laid there for, I don't even know, 2.5 hours. I wanted to go to sleep. I couldn't do it. That's deep, man. That's deep. You went primal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. And that, you just, how long did that process take you? A couple of days? I mean, once it started,
honestly, well, Monday after I found out, I had to deal with the police. I had to deal with, talk to my ex-wife. The thing that really sucks is the police didn't know how to get a hold of us because we didn't report him missing because he was on his own.
Yeah.
He's 19, moved in with his girlfriend, had his was living in the trailer with her. And Fox News told us, gave me a call, and that's how I found out. And I'm like, so I called the police and started talking to them about it. And I immediately, talking to my, really close support. And it was bubbling. And, my twin sibling, my twinnie sis, Kelly, she's just like, I can feel this shit bubbling. You need to let that shit go, or it's going to just eat you up. So I, put down the phone, walked away, and I just, for good, almost for the rest of the day, because this was probably around 3:00 in the afternoon. I just was screaming and crying all night, or all day. And I told my mom, I told my mom, she balled up and sat in a corner in my brother's house. And I said, I need you to leave me alone. And I pretty much sat here for 4 days by myself. And I was stupid enough to go to the store on Tuesday, because that's when he showed me everything. And then throughout the next 2 days, I started picking through and finding what I was actually supposed to be getting from his message.
Mm.
And so, I would say 4 or 5 days. And after 4 days, I said to, my friends that are close, I said, I'm going to need you guys to start coming and hanging out so I can start talking and stop wallowing in this shit.
Yeah. I remember reading a biography of Theodore Roosevelt years ago. And I think it was a child. I don't remember it, but it was a direct relative. And he went silent for 4 straight days.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't say anything to anyone. They said he had some dark glasses on, and right through, the services and everything. And then he just, that was it.
Mm-hmm.
I just read something a friend of mine sent, Stephen Obey, that's been coming on. He's coming on tomorrow. And a lot like you, he's been out, on the masculine side for many, many years, a lot longer than I have. And so anyway, he sent me something on Venus retrograde, and it's not so much about that I wanted to bring up, was, but there was a section in there, and it talked about how during this type of period or whatever, because I don't really follow the stars, that you're challenged, and that some of the most creative, powerful expressions, art, and such have come out of these periods of time because of the connection that the heart makes to what we would call sadness or pain or suffering. And it really struck me. And I thought, you know what? That's how a lot of my stuff came out. All of it.
Yeah.
Really, in the beginning. But I was thinking about what you said about the stuff you've been putting out, with these visits. What do you think the overall message is that you're receiving from him?
The overall message I actually feel is, and it's been reiterated, and it resonates around the vigils. Stop taking shit for granted, and love as much as you can, as hard as you can, when you can.
Yeah.
Because that's all you got. A lot of his friends have shared stories that, they saved his life. He saved their lives.
Yeah.
And, to hear that about a 19-year-old doing that when he was in like 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade, these are things that I didn't, it took me 30 plus years to get there. And he's doing it like it's just habit. And they were telling me, I just wish that I was able to ask him at one point in time how he was doing instead of allowing him to ask me. And that's the thing about us. It's like, you probably know as well as I do. Most people ask us, we're going to say, yeah, we're good. Or we're not good. Can I help you with anything? No, I have no fucking idea how to help me.
Yeah. We were having a conversation last night. Teresa LaPrey Rivera came over, and Rachel, I forgot her last name already, McVeigh, and Michael Van Patten, Lori, and Zavetta, and a lot of it, or not a lot of it, but a good part of the conversation was around the wounded healer archetype, and how, in what we all do, putting it out there, putting the energy and the message out there. There is a lot of that in us, and we came to the conclusion that the great thing about being a healer who discovers their wounded healer archetype is that they shift. The shift that occurs from that painful, awakening of finding out you are wounded.
Yeah, exactly.
At a very deep level. Yeah. So So in other words, he's saying, love as much as you can, whenever you can. Appreciate everything. And I think, that little dragon's popping in right now and say, yeah, and quit the bitching.
Yeah,
because
yep. And that was honestly, and the really interesting thing is that he reached out to me in May, I believe it was, or April, and he said, I have all these things that I want to do. Can you help me, do them, figure them out? And I said, yeah, I need you. This is what I told. It's I need you to write it all down and graph in deep, understanding and, everything that you want to do. And I said, every day step towards what you want. And his first goal, one of his first goals, get a driver's license. Second, everything that he did was to get to Danielle, to be with her full time. And then once they were together, they were going to do all these different things. And he said, you know what? He actually reached out to me in mid-July, and he goes, I want to get a tattoo every few levels that I reach as a reward to myself for actually sticking to this. Wow. And this is even goes towards the whole thing of make, if you need to motivate yourself by, having a focus be on somebody or something that you want, do it. He never stopped. I mean, he did anything that he could for money. And and I've talked to a number of his bosses, and I mean, he sold his art, which he didn't necessarily want to do, but he sold his art. He worked, really, tough jobs, and one of his bosses, when doing landscaping, he's like, anything I asked Saren to do, he did it. He didn't bitch, he didn't complain. He just said, okay, got it, done. And it's like, I don't know how many adults just sit there and go, I don't want to do that, blah blah blah. It's like there's a means to an end, and it's really taught me that doing your work is important if that's going to get you where you need to be, or you want to be. It's not about, there's a lot of talk about free will, about destiny and everything. And it's like, and I know, because I've been told this a number of times, that his purpose, Danielle's purpose, was actually to get together and be together. The rest of it was whatever. And it, as my ex-wife and I said, it's very difficult to understand. His story was a beautiful story, and it really sucks that it was so short. But that was his story.
Yeah.
And now it's time for us to move on and take his story and go, okay, well, that's the preamble to our story, or that's the preamble to our next step forward.
Yeah. Sounds like a powerful duo.
Yeah. And like, honestly, it's like and I don't know if you've seen the picture of my fire last night.
Yeah, I did. I saw that picture, and I saw the figure in the back.
Yeah, I was just, it's like, if you look at it, and I have like devoured it, it's actually both of them together.
Wow.
But they are like in that one. Because it looks, it's like that, because that's the energy I felt. And it's like, wow, that's crazy shit. That's why I burned.
Wow. That's wild. But that's what's happening.
Yeah.
All over. Do you have much of has this always been just like an internal thing, an inside job? And what I mean by that is, do you have any type of, or have you had any type of connection, like say with galactics or divine essences, or, higher self, that type of thing?
I do a lot with my higher self. I do a lot of astral and etheric work. But it's always as a dragon. Of course,
you're all dragon. Every bit of you is dragon.
So, and it's like when last April, March, I actually had a rebirth. Like, I was part of a rebirthing ceremony, and I actually shed my human skin during that, and I saw myself for the first time as I was, many, many, many years ago, or even in the astral, the etheric, and I was just like, what the, wow. There's no words to describe it.
I sir, from this point forward, the human will cooperate.
Exactly. It's like, I'm like, okay, well, now we're going to do that shit.
Right. Yeah. The first time I saw mine, it was close to 3 years ago. And I had just met Morgan.
Mm-hmm.
I was walking to the store, and she was pulling something out of me. She was like, something's going on, da da da. So, and I had never done this, and she said, I stopped in front of the store in the parking lot. I was sitting at this bench, and she said, pull up your higher self. And boom. And it wasn't like this angelic, fluffy light shit. It was this, close to monster looking dude,
Yep.
But wow, was it a powerful experience. And that was the first time
waking out again.
Oh, is it? Is that you or me? I think that's you.
Yeah.
Is that you? You good? No, he's not. I mean, he is, but he's having a little trouble. All right, well, we'll just keep going. We got 81 people in the house. Jenna Harmon, Christy Pettigrew, Matt, so glad to see you. Patricia, I think she's over in the Bronx. Just tell me when you can hear me. Melissa Steinberg, my friend down in Florida. Best to you and your kiddos. Can you hear me? No, he can't. Maybe he can see the screen though. Let me see. Go out and come back. Okay. How's that? Can you read that? All right. What else we got in here? Maria Paz Cuevas. Matt, you've been such a source of inspiration and love. Thank you. Here, maybe if I text him, let me message him. Appreciate your patience. Let's see. Here he is. Just tell him, go out and come back.
You there? Hello.
Yeah, I'm here. You're not. There you go. Yeah, go out and come back in. Okay. Because I'm looking at it and I'm in. All right. Let me get rid of that. See who else we got here. Sue Baxter Fitz. Like so many, thank you for your continued love and support. Joanne McGinnis. Naveen, how you doing, girl? Over in the Netherlands. Kate Bell. Let's see what he says. Okay, he's coming back. All right. Let's see now. Yeah, you know, he's been out there a long time. Here he is. Here he is now. We're good. Thank you for your patience.
Thank you.
We got it. We're good.
My sister, my twin sister just sent, she's like, people can see you walking about. And I was like, I don't care.
I know. I thought you were going to say something. Oh, I've been busted before, man. Yeah. I was on for like 3 minutes one time and I didn't even know it. That was that's what it's all about though, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we can't, I mean, we don't even have a choice in the matter.
Yeah.
Like think about it. I mean, everything's becoming more and more telepathic, and the thing is our rate of compassion and acceptance and allowance is rising too. So it's not like we're going to hold it, long term, hold anything against anybody. Everybody just needs to get it out now.
Oh yeah, it's like I'm a human being. It's like I got to put my coffee cup in the sink.
Right. Yeah, and and I think that's going back to the men. And I certainly am just like all of them. I don't say that I'm not, but I think that's been a big part of it. We got all these secrets, and it's just like, F it. There's nothing to hide. There's nothing to hide. I mean, it's on one hand, we're so conditioned to, we don't want people. I always use the analogy of, a woman can walk in a locker room at the fitness center and say, I'm having trouble. And, she's got 10 sisters around her immediately that she knows or doesn't even know.
Yeah.
But for a guy to walk into a locker room and be vulnerable, I mean, we're talking.
Dude, you might get a towel whipped at your ass.
Right? Yeah, that's right, man. And all that did was reinforce it, because I was like that as a little kid. I was just like walking around like this little ball of light, and then people started giving me shit, and calling me a candy ass, and then you start getting in fights, and that warrior comes out in you, and it's like a switch goes off. But,
oh yeah. Preaching to the choir. It's like I might have been a big kid, but the light was there and people always wanted to pick. So,
I don't think I would have messed with you, man. Just the way you look. But you say you work with a lot of people. What's your take on energetically, an energetic approach, helping a man turn that around?
I've actually done that, but it's more of a, for me, it's more passive. I use my own energy, my own, calm state to actually calm them down and work with them and get them to the point where they actually can relax and feel calm. This is where that whole, unfuckwithable empath shit happens. It's like, when I was younger, actually, my mom laughs about it. She's like, if any of these people knew anything about you when you were in high school, they would just sit there and go, what the hell? Because everybody knew me. It's like, you don't try to fuck with me, mainly because it's like, I never got into fights, But it's like you never wanted to push me to that point because I put off that energy. Like I don't even want to go there with you. You don't want to go there with me. And it's similar. This is a similar feeling, but it's actually not for protection. It's actually for guidance. Where I can actually go into a room and I've had a lot of people say, you really shouldn't be interfering with other people's energy. I was like, no, I'm not interfering with their energy. I'm bringing my energy in and allowing, it to slowly wash over them as it needs to. Instead of, I've actually done this where, I've seen children who are screaming and yelling and I just, look at them and they just stop and just look at me. I've gotten the same thing from men who are really upset. I've just gone close to them and not said anything to them. And it's the same thing. It's just like, calmness washes over them instead of being in a panic, so to speak. It's just, it is really interesting to actually experience instead of holding on and trying to protect myself. I'm actually allowing it to flow out, but it's still it's a barrier, but it's not there to protect me.
Yeah. And you're holding your field, and they would either have to, integrate with that or run.
Exactly. And honestly, I haven't had many people run from it.
Yeah.
It's like I do it at the store when I go shopping, and I'm in a very rural area where there's still a lot of judgment and people that look at me like, oh my God, that guy's weird. I even had a guy at the store once. He goes, you ever have people talk to you and tell you how intimidating you are? And it's like, oh, well, no. He's like, and he started talking to me. It's like, I'm not. It's actually, it's not that I'm intimidating. It's that, they don't understand me. They can't understand me because they come from a different point of view, but they're very curious. And it's like, once the energy comes over me, and I was actually shocked that this guy reached out, like started talking to me because he was just very nervous about me being close to him in the line. And, we were talking and said, I'm not really a violent person. But, I don't need to worry about taking care of myself. He's like, do you carry? I'm like, no, there's no point.
Yeah.
Because I can actually diffuse a situation before I even get there. Yeah. I would much rather, I don't want to get into that situation because I don't want to have to go down that road. I spent most of my life being afraid of going down that road. Now I can actually say I'm confident enough that, I can walk through there and not have to go there.
Yeah. Your power, you've overcome.
Mm-hmm.
Power to overcome. Do you, I don't know why I'm asking this question. Do you work with like animal totem or,
I do. I have a strong tie to a lot of, tribal culture. And I was just talking about this earlier today with somebody. A lot of animals talk to me, at different times, different things. Last night during the fire, and it's almost always during the fire, the coyotes talk to me.
Yeah.
And it's always a message of wisdom. It's not about playing, or tricking or being goofy. It's always about, maintaining that wisdom. Sometimes I hear owls. I mean, sometimes I'll hear deer like 10 feet behind me in the brush. It's one of those things. It's like I have a direct connection to a lot of different things out here. And I've done sweat lodges, and like the one sweat lodge that I've done, like the one where I've had a really clear vision, was with a white stag, a white raven, and a black wolf. And it's been essentially, my totem is essentially called the Great Hunt. And I'm like, what is that? It's like the Great Hunt for everything, for like it's a hunger for knowledge. It's a hunger for experience and understanding in the world.
Yeah. Yeah, that's heavy, man, in a good way.
Mm.
That's intense.
It freaked me out when I did it, but
So, did you do it locally, the sweat lodge?
yeah, there's a sweat lodge that's about half an hour away from here. And I did about 20 last year.
Wow.
Uh, and I need to start going back and doing more, but it the message was clear that I shouldn't be going to that place because there's too much. Uh, I'll just say this much: I tried 3 times, and there were 3 different sweats that were canceled, and nobody told me, so I showed up.
Oh
um,
yeah,
and there's the rule of three. 3 times you try to go, and it doesn't. I mean, it's time to
yeah.
go on.
I agree with
Um,
that. Yep.
so I've heard of like 2 or 3 others that are local, and I've heard of others around the country. Um, but I've been tribal so many times that one of the things that I'm drawn to do in my in the rest of my life through part of my purpose is to reconnect with the tribal cultures that I've been.
Yeah.
The Maori, the Kori in Australia, or the quote unquote Aboriginals in Australia, the indigenous folks there.
Yeah.
I have a number of friends that are in both areas that would welcome me with open arms and bring me into the tribes. And I just sit there and like, oh man, I would just absolutely love that. And it's like I would probably just disappear if I did.
Hmm. I think I got something for you. I'll tell you about it the next day or two.
Okay.
Involving, yeah, um, yeah. I just had this feeling. I had this feeling that you worked with that type of thing. Now, what part of Michigan are you in? Are you by Detroit?
I'm actually 15 to 20 miles east of Flint, which
Okay.
is we are. Flint is a little bit northwest of Detroit, northwest. I'm
Mhm.
straight north of Detroit
Yeah.
in Lapeer.
Yeah. I'll have to give a call to my friend Angie Love and her husband Renee Garcia.
Hmm.
I think they're maybe 45 minutes north, maybe an hour
Oh,
north.
right around
It's
here.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool seeing people though. Sometimes I'll say, hey, so and so lives there. They're going there, and they'll
Hmm.
end up hooking up. I'll see them on Facebook, hooked up, and you know, just chilling with each other. Yeah. So, wow, man, that's so you've done that many sweat lodges. What are those like? I mean, to be doing them so much. I mean,
Well, a bunch of them were during. We had to do the initial because we rebuilt an old lodge, made it bigger. So we had to actually, what's the word I'm looking for? Christen it, so to speak, and
yeah,
that requires a sweat a week, and then I did a Vision Quest support for a Vision Quest, which was sweat every day for 4 days. And these sweats run 2 to 3 hours at a time.
damn,
It's Lakota tradition. I mean, if the best way to say it is if you've ever sat in a sauna when it's really hot,
yeah.
but sat in there for 3 hours,
No, no, no,
that's a
no.
sweat. That's a sweat.
See, I've never done a sweat lodge, but when I was 18, 19, we used to go to this apartment complex and
Hmm.
they had the pool and then we would go into the sauna and throw all that stuff on the fire, man,
Yep.
and do it until we couldn't take it anymore and then go
Yeah.
jump in the pool. So
Hmm.
I can't even imagine doing that.
It
Uh,
the Lakota say, and like the other tribes, they actually say that it's a ego breaker. It's about breaking down the ego and releasing the strength that the ego has, and kind of in creating a softness in the ego. Um, but it's honestly, like I've been in there. There's the tradition that I was in. There's 4 rounds, and then there's a for every direction, and then there's a fifth round, which is the unknown. And the fifth round is essentially as hot as they can make it. I've
damn.
had my ears burning, the tips of my ears burning, my toes burning, my nose burning,
Have
where
you
there is no escape from the heat.
I mean, have you ever just run out of there and couldn't take it? I mean, I don't. I
Um,
mean,
I actually did a sweat with Saren in July. Funny thing, it was about the same time that he reached out to me this year.
mm,
About mid July, around the full moon last year, for his graduation. It was a graduation kind of coming to manhood
very cool.
experience. And I said to him, it's like, we can sit in here as long as you're feeling like it. And I'd been told that when I heal my inner child, when I start to heal my inner child, I will start to heal him.
Wow.
And it was interesting because I could feel he was not really enjoying it because it was getting a little hot. We made it to 4 rounds. Um, and my inner child's like, okay, we're going to leave. And instead of, I've pushed and I've pushed and I've pushed my inner child and said, you know what? No, we're going to do what I want to do and we're going to stay here. But this time I actually said, okay, you know what? We're going to do it for you. And we're going to just get out early and become humble.
Yeah.
And say that I can't do it anymore in front of my son. And he came out with me and, we actually, hugged for quite a long time after that and just sat by the fire. And, just talked until everybody was done. And it was a very, like he even said, he's like, wow, that was probably one of the hardest things I've ever had to do in my life.
Wow. And then you do them, or you did them when you were anointing it for what, 4 straight days? Is that what you said?
4 straight weeks. Like one day, it was like, but then we did support for a vision quest, which is 4 straight days. And
That's what I was talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, the first day I did it, I actually was the beginning of the vision quest, which was actually a grandfather medicine ceremony, and that was a very interesting thing. It was my first experience with grandfather medicine.
Oh wow. So what? Okay, so this is like the prelude to the Vision Quest, or is the whole thing comprehensively the Vision Quest?
There were people there, and we were holding space for the people that were doing the vision quest. It was 4 people.
Oh, I see.
And we were in support of them
Yeah.
because they weren't allowed to drink or eat for 4 days. And they basically just sat there, meditated in a teepee for 4 days. Once after the peyote ceremony was over, they did that and they didn't leave for 4 days. And then they had a sweat lodge to finish it.
Damn.
Yeah.
You gotta be kidding me, man. I thought I was making grand strides in my journey to be a divine masculine. Now I'm talking to you, Holmes. I was just thinking, well, if you get one going over there, let me know.
Well, I thought about it before I did this, but the problem is that it really needs the sanctity and the sacred fire. Everything. The fire's always got to be lit by the embers of a fire that was in South Dakota at Sundance. So there always has to be that fire. It has to, like a little ember has to be alive from that to actually do the holy fire, the sacred fires, and to anoint the stones and different things. It's like there's so much sacredness and mindfulness to the ceremony that it's just doing it removes like anything of value from it.
Yeah, I got
because
you.
You can have up to 31 stones in a sweat. The most I've done was 31. That was hell. But I've also done 16, which was probably even worse because it wasn't hot. And there was only 5 of us there. And usually there's one of the sweats I did, there were 22 people in the sweat lodge. That's cramped. But when there's 4 of us in there, and nobody really wanted to be there. It was very difficult to stay there when everybody just wanted to leave. Like you could feel I just want to get the hell out of here. Everybody was grumpy and pissed off.
Yeah.
So it was about like, okay. No, it was about we actually, I think, did it really quick because I think there was like 16 stones or whatever, but it's like we ended up having to like just cut it short because we were not in the mood to do it.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm asking these questions because I've never done one. I know I'm fixing to. I'm going to Sedona tomorrow, so I know something's going to happen somewhere sooner or later.
That's where I'm going to end up, probably so. In the long.
Do like people like pass out and stuff?
Every round, the tribal elder, or the leader of the sweat, will ask if anybody needs to leave. There is that out, but if you allow it to, if you feel you can make it to one more, make it to one more. It's a very interesting exercise on presence.
Yeah.
You really have to experience presence, because if you're not understanding that you can't make it another half an hour.
Yeah.
Like we've had people, lay down, whatever. It's like whatever you need to do to make yourself comfortable in there and to stay longer is, it's always going to help out.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to it. I don't know when I'm going to do one, but I'm looking forward to it. That would be a good idea for, at least part of, like a man's retreat.
Oh yeah.
We're talking about a divine masculine retreat or whatever you want to call it, would be to have a sweat lodge. That'd be really cool. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. That has been it's one of my wishes to, have like a week-long retreat and have like every day be a sweat, because what it does, like every night, it really brings brothers together, brings the entire group together, because we're sharing energy. When you're in the sweat lodge, you share energy. So if you are not feeling it, somebody else will hold you up. And likewise, it's like a circle, or a chain, when one link starts getting weak, the others, bunch up together and hold them tight.
Yeah. Oh, I bet it does. I bet that whole, you said it gets rid of the ego. And that's what's so interesting about it, because I see the universe teaching in a very paradoxical manner. And you would think that on one hand, you'd have that egoic will of, well, I'm not going, I'm a man, I'm not giving up. But I can see that that's not what keeps you there.
No.
That's what's leaving.
It's funny because it's the humility that keeps you there. Because the ego's like, oh no, we gotta stick this out. And it's like, then after a while, the ego just goes, I can't do this shit.
Yeah.
And you're just like, well, okay, we're just going to sit here then. Because I have nothing better to do.
That's like a Mike Tyson TK or KO right there.
Yeah, exactly.
Ego's flat on its back. Is that, and you're saying that's what you've learned most from it, or you benefited most from it?
Yeah, and honestly, yeah, there's a lot of last year was a horrible, not a horrible year. I'll just say this, but it's like this year has actually been worse as far as healing goes. But I went through last year, so like everybody else, this has raised the bar, and this year is a bit easier than last year because I raised the bar myself.
Yeah.
But there was a point in time, like after my first sweat, I had a lot of people offer different healing to me at the same time. I said, yeah, sure, go ahead. Sure, I'll be fine. I'm just going to go to sleep. You do what you need to do.
Yeah.
I woke up and I couldn't freaking move for 3 days. Really? I felt like I was 100 fucking years old.
Oh, shit. And then these dudes do this 4 days, this peyote ceremony, and then 4 days they don't drink water, they don't do anything.
Nope.
And then they end it with a 5-phase sweat.
Yep.
Jesus, man, these are. I want to be like them when I grow up.
that doesn't even talk about the sun dance. It's like you should look up the sun dance. It's like, to be where I was at. It's essentially 4 years to embrace being ready to do a sun dance. It was about 2 years to be, going through the motions, to be seen as ready to do a vision quest.
Now, what is a vision quest? I mean, is there a reason the word vision's in it? I mean, is it?
It teaches. It's supposed to show you your purpose.
Okay.
It helps you align with everything, like everything in your body and everything in your spirit, everything that you are with your purpose.
Yeah.
And it's from what I've gathered, it's something that happens quite quickly. But you have to sit there with it for another 2 or 3 days.
Yeah. Very cool. Well, I'm glad I don't have to do it. I know what my mission is. I'll do the sweat lodge. I'm not doing the.
I think that's where one of the reasons I stopped is because I already know my freaking mission.
Yeah. Yeah. I was going to say, I would have been happy to do it, but I know my mission. I'm not. Of course, I almost want to take that back because you know how the universe is. Just come back and give you a swift kick.
Don't ever say that out loud without knocking wood.
Right. Exactly right. Yeah, that's cool, man. I'd love to collaborate with you. Yeah, I'd love to do something like that. I really would.
Likewise.
Find a place that's conducive, and I mean, that's a good. Like I said, that's a good part of the country. Chicago, I think, is our. I think it's our third or fourth largest market. New York's the largest market. Find something, it's a plane trip, basically. Yeah.
For me, it's especially 4-hour drive.
For you?
Yeah.
4-hour drive from where?
To Chicago.
Oh, really? That's it? Damn. They're basically in Chicago. So let me ask you a couple other questions. So, what's your take on everything that is happening? Like, especially having been awake since 92. I mean, what's it like for you to see what's happening, like, especially like this last year?
It is quite interesting because, one of the things that woke me up was hearing, and, was hearing George Sr. When he was during the election time in 92. He was quoted as saying, if the American people knew what we had done, we would be hanging from the streets, like from the streetlights. And when I heard that, I was just like, okay, what the fuck have you done? Yeah. And then Whitewater, and I started digging. Whitewater happened at that point, right around that same time. And I'm just like, I started putting everything together and saying, okay, well, there's some other shit going on here. And then that's when I actually, in 2014, 13, 14, I stepped away from Facebook for 2 years for a lot of reasons. I had 4 friends disappear. I was a very outspoken anarchist on Facebook, and I had four friends that were in that group. 4, I'd say, figureheads just poof disappear. Yeah. And that's one of the reasons I got off of Facebook for a few years, because it freaked the hell out of me. Yeah. Because I was like, okay, I guess I got to change that shit. And it's like, oh, no more politics, no more religion on stage. So.
I remember I came out pretty hard, and it would have been in, it was 13, summer of 13. I came out pretty hard. But I only had I'd have I used to do a lot of videos and upload them. And I had 3 videos that they removed, never said anything. And then, but one time I did this badass poetry talking about JFK and buildings falling and this and that. And I was like, wow, that was badass. And I clicked it. And as soon as I clicked it, they sent me a note. I mean, like that. And said it was offensive or something. I mean, it was within 10 seconds. It was, and then I knew. I was like, oh, you know what? I don't need to be feeding this monster anyway. Yeah. And what are your views on that? I mean, there's been a lot of talk about over the last 6, 8 months, 10 months, where people are talking about different ways describing that. The 4th dimensional archonic stuff has been pulled out. The reptilian hierarchy was removed. However you want to put it, that we've gone past some type of tipping point where, the light is, has the momentum and has the majority, or however you want to put it. And of course, these are just metaphorical, description here. I'm not saying that's how it all went down, but what I'm talking is energy. What's your
Yeah.
thoughts on that?
I believe that's absolutely true. The pulses of love are just becoming entirely too much. Like Martin Luther King said, you can't fight hate with hate. The only thing that defeats hate is love.
Yeah.
And they're facing a weapon that they can't deal with. So when we have all this division, all the division is actually starting to disappear. And they have no idea how to address this. And the play, like we have the playbook. That's the best way to say it. And it's like we just keep seeing the same shit over and over and over again. It's like, dude, I think we've read this story before.
Right? It's like
it's the same, a different title.
Yeah, you got like 3 million Totos just went and pulled the curtain back.
Exactly. Exactly. It's like, what the hell?
Like one little dog, and a Tin Man and a Dorothy. It's like 3 million of them going, "Hey, man, what's up?"
Yeah, exactly. So, right. I mean, and that's the whole part. It's like I'm actually quite excited about everything. It's hard for me not to look forward and to remain present, because I know where we have been, because I've seen it all starting to change.
Yeah.
And it's really kind of amusing, because it's almost like watching Keystone Cops running around like the fire engine in the old like silent movies. It's like they're trying to scramble and trying to do whatever to,
Chinese fire drill.
but they never get back in the damn car.
Well, but you know what? Even to the, somebody said earlier this year, they were like, everybody's awake, man. Everybody knows now, but they're either not looking at it but one of the things that's been pretty obvious has been probably, I don't know, the last few months easy of false flags. Like the Vegas thing, the Dallas thing. They had one in my neighborhood in Houston, speaking of Bush. It never made mainstream. And it's a nice neighborhood. This would have been like, maybe a year ago. No, it'd been like 2 years ago. But anyway, there was a gas station. This car pulls up into the gas station. This guy starts shooting people. The gas station blows up. The next day, the news goes out there and does this newscast. And I go, oh, there's a backpack here. Oh, it's got this guy's name. And I'm thinking,
yeah, because that would have survived a explosion.
I know. And it was the reporter. And I'm like, are you going to tell me that place was like, police taped for like a whole block around it, and you're going to tell me it's like there's a backpack.
I forgot a backpack.
I mean, what is this, But the thing I'm saying is, it's like even the Vegas deal or the Dallas deal.
Stick again.
Good. Hang on. I got you. All right. Can you hear me?
Yep, I got you.
Okay. Yeah, it's this. I'm gonna have to get. I find when I take my eye off the energy, that it happens, and it's taken me a while to figure out that it's not always me, but sometimes it's me. It's like if I something about just holding it stable. I don't know.
Well, I know a lot of it is like when I get excited, shit goes crazy. Like when my passion starts increasing, I can feel the energy going up, then everything starts going nutty.
Yeah, that's what happens to me. Yeah. I mean, other times, this is more of a, I was getting into that, thinking about that. My whole focus was going into that story and what happened, But yeah, you're right about that. I was doing a show with someone I do a show with every week last week, and I just got this thank you for everyone that's helped support us, this upgrading computer. I got 5G and it kept glitching. And I realized it wasn't my energy. It was the other person's. Because they were doing like what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, man, I really appreciate you spending some time with us. I'd love to get together with you again. Either
most definitely
online like this, and maybe collaborate. I'd want to. I'd say that right now. I would very much want to do some type of men's retreat, for 3 days or something, definitely. And I definitely would support that and love to be part of that. So, and I know some other men would too. Probably have
Very
some
good.
come in from out of the country even. I bet you.
Oh, that would be. I'm sure we could get a ton of people from like all over, and
Yeah,
like
I think so. If we can be near, if we can be somewhat near a major airport, that would be cool.
oh yeah,
Even if something was 3 or 4 hours away, that'd still be cool. All right, man. Well, I appreciate you. I love you, brother. Thank you on behalf of
you
everybody for your service to humanity and for sharing your broke open, unbreakable heart and being an example for me and other men for a long, long time. You've got a tremendous amount of respect in the community, and you have my utmost respect. I'm just like everybody else, and everyone that I know that knows you, all you got to do is just follow your vibration, and you're the real deal. So, some healing, peace, love, and comfort to you and your family. I know
thank
you
you,
understand everything on a higher perspective, and thank you for being a brave, courageous, fearless, selfless soul.
thank you,
Yeah.
thank you for having me.
Yes, sir. Peace out. I'll talk to you
Peace.
later, bro.